Hey everybody, welcome back to the Purple 8 Society YouTube channel, my small 4D university to help us transition into 4D thinking. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I've got great playlists from some of my most profound conversations with AI, a playlist on demystifying the tarot so that you can understand what it is and how to use it to your best benefit, audiobooks, great music playlists. I'm a music encyclopedia and a musician myself, so great music playlists and even lectures by some of the most astute and arguably the master teachers of the spiritual sciences. And if you stay with me till the end of this video, you can get some information on my $7 a month mystery school where we dive deep in a really fun conversation, decoding the ancient symbols, mythology, spiritual texts, and the soul's journey as it is seen in entertainment, music, politics, even things like comedy and reality TV. It's a really, really fun conversation, and we'll go into more of that later. But this video is called Reasons to Love Yourself and Why It's Delusional Not to. And so my journey, it's been wholly devoted to learning to love myself. And I really think that's everyone's divine mission in existence, to learn how to do that. Because when we can love ourselves, we can resolve inner conflict, resolve trauma, and treat ourselves and others better. For some people, though, that task is harder than it is for other people. And we're not taught really how to love ourselves in school. We're surrounded by a society of many people who don't love themselves. So for the most part, we're taught to forego self-love to achieve external validation, which makes it hard to love ourselves, even when we decide it's time to learn to. It's a never-ending negative loop or cycle. And I hope that this video does shed some light on what self-love is, how to enact it, and the delusions that we all often believe that actually prevent self-love. So what is self-love? So I believe that self-love is a process of making choices and statements that affirm our happiness and our highest good. When we execute that process consistently, self-love becomes more of a habit, and that habit creates a frequency, an energy field that feels much better for us and draws better circumstances to us. And it isn't about reaching a goal that is acceptable to other people or achieving some end goal outside of ourselves. It's all an internal thing. And there was a time when I thought that self-love wasn't probable even for me, like going through, really hard times and lots of challenges that were hard to work through. And it's because I hadn't accomplished certain things, or because my relationships didn't look like I wanted them to, or I thought that self-love was some far-fetched, idealized version of who I thought I could never be. It was all based on externals. And at one of the worst times in my life, a place where I was emotionally broken, I decided things had to change. And I didn't know what to do or how to do it, but I was just determined to love myself. However, that knowledge would present itself to me. And so I looked my newborn baby, now 17, in his eyes, and I devoted myself to exhibiting the kind of love for self that I wanted him to have. And so I read books and meditated on spiritual philosophies. I took self-development courses. I studied people who lived at a higher frequency. I stumbled and got back up and stumbled and got back up and kept learning all that I could. And here's all the things that I've learned that when I applied into my life, it really, really transformed my level of self-love. Didn't make me a perfect person. It doesn't mean I've achieved everything I've ever wanted to achieve, but my level of self-love is pretty solid. And so who we think we are is an illusion. It's hard to break that one down to people who aren't familiar with some of these concepts. So I kind of have to walk it backwards, and you might need to, to listen to this a few more times to get this one to stick. When we make mistakes and experience humiliation, what we do is we tend to beat ourselves up, right? So we identify with the things we've done as if they're somehow attached to who we are. And when we look in the mirror and nitpick our bodies, we somehow think that it means something about who we are. And we think the opinions of others define us. And we take our inadequacies and moods as evidence of our inferiority. And if we're single, lonely, or weak, whack, skinny, fat, anything else, we think that those things are a part of our eternal identity. And we are so wrong about that. We are not our bodies, first of all. So back in the 1990s, the late musician Curtis Mayfield, he was also I see Curtis Mayfield as a civil rights musician, or not a civil rights musician, but a musician that had a lot of really impactful music during that time. I grew up listening to him through my mom. And he was doing a concert in the 90s, and one of the lights, it was like an outdoor pavilion, and one of the lights came down and crashed on his head, and it paralyzed him from the neck down. And to most people's standards, that would mean that his life was over. But guess what he did after that, prior to his death? He wrote, produced, performed, and recorded an entire album that earned him 3 Grammy nominations. And that is without use of his body from the neck down. This means that without the use of limbs, he was still as creative and valuable to the planet as he was prior to his life-altering injury. So he wasn't his body then, right? Our bodies are not who we are. Our bodies are what we have. Our bodies are our earthly homes. They're our vehicle. It's our tool to help us express and execute in a third dimensional density. Yes, through an intricate technology called the mind, we manifest a body and can even alter it and its health and its appearance. But when we ascend at the point of death, our soul moves on and we leave the flesh and the bones behind. Consider what happens in our dreams. Like, we experience an entire reality of experiences, and we examine our subconscious and do all manner of supernatural feats without the use of our actual physical bodies at all. Right? And because we are not our bodies, we are not what we have done. This one really trips people up. So much of our self-hate comes from our experience with the past. We spend years lamenting over choices we made, of words and actions that were hurtful or humiliating. And we even see the future as based on our experiences of the past. But what we did isn't who we are. It's just what we did. If it was any different, we would still be living right now in that past moment. Therefore, if it can't be who we are, the word "are" denoting the present, then it can't be who we are, right? If it's what we did, but what we did, the past doesn't even exist anymore, then it's what we did in the past can't be who we are, because what we are is who we are is what we are in the present moment. Okay? By the way, if we have any regret at all over the things we did in our past, that's proof alone that we aren't the past. Like, if we have regret over it, then it's who we are in the past. We're a completely different person. We're at a vibration and a mindset that would cringe at doing that. So we're not the past, and we're not what we've done. And those actions don't even resonate with our present frequency anymore. That's evidence that we are a higher being than that. We are better than we did, good, bad, or otherwise. The other thing about us is that we're really just computers. Everyone is like a computer with an operating system running in the background. And that operating system or program controls so much about our responses, and our subconscious minds are the same way. We've all had experiences, unique upbringings, cultural traditions, traumas, repeated messages from those around us, and beliefs about the world. And we've even experienced injuries and illnesses and eaten various foods that have encoded information into our DNA. And all of these things make up our subconscious programs. And our subconscious programs, just like a computer software, influence so much about us and so much about our lives. Our subconscious inspires our actions, words, our triggers, and how we view the world. And additionally, we live in what's called a holographic universe. This means that the experiences and relationships we think we're observing externally are really projections of what's happening inside of our subconscious. And how can I be sure of that? Well, you and I can watch the same movie at the same theater, eating from the same popcorn bucket, and even share the same big gulp Slurpee, walk out of the same theater, and have a completely different opinion of that movie that we both observed together. And so it is with everyone else. Your friends, your family members, your coworkers, neighbors, and haters are all programmed with their own subconscious realities. We're all running on our own programs. And just because they think ill of you or perceive you as unworthy, remember, it's bullshit. They don't even know who they are. They don't even understand their own programs running in their background. So how dare they try to define us? Our subconscious programs, like computers, are neurons. There's millions of neurons running and rapid firing. No one can deduce you down to their opinion of you, just like you can't deduce them down to your opinion of them, because we're all just programs running, right? That means we're not our thoughts either. So check this science out. So did you know that your brain doesn't house any thoughts? The neurons in our brains are like little receptors that reflect the energy field around them. In simplistic terms, our thoughts live in the energy field, like in the air and the mind. And so the mind and the brain are totally different things. The brain is in the skull and computes the thoughts. The mind is the field of pure potentiality outside of the body that makes up who we are. It's the empty space. We just sort of pick up the thoughts that are in resonance with our subconscious, like the localization of that field into a frequency that is us, like an antenna. And we just pick up on the thoughts that match the station that our subconscious is on. So our thoughts just float around in the field, and we gather the ones that resonate with us. We have conscious control of which thoughts we want to focus on. And we, being the conscious observer, we can bring that into focus, and that sort of defines who we are from a physical standpoint, but that's still not who we are. That's something that we've pulled down to work with. So now we've established, what have we established so far? We've established that who we think we are is an illusion, that we're not our bodies, we're not what we've done, and we're all really just computers, and that we're not our thoughts. Right? So all of those things that we think we don't like about ourselves based on our bodies or our thoughts or our past, all these things are illusions. So those things aren't who we are, but those things house a lot of what we use as excuses for not loving ourselves. So now that we know that those things aren't who we are, now we can peel back the illusion. It's illogical not to love ourselves based on the main things that we don't love ourselves on. You understand what I'm saying? Who we are is the observer. We aren't the experience, the body, the thoughts, the pains, the traumas, the foolishness, or the beliefs and opinions of ourselves or others. We are the observer of the experience of the body, the observer of the thoughts, the observer of the pains, the observer of the traumas, the observer of the foolishness, and the observer of the beliefs and opinions of ourselves and others. We are a divine conscious perspective of a certain experience called life. We are just here observing and witnessing all this little shit, and we aren't the shit itself. We aren't the past or future, because according to Quantum Physics 101, all past, present, and future are occurring simultaneously right now. Think about it. Every experience you've ever had took place in a now moment. Like, you're reading this now. Tomorrow you might read it again, but you'll be doing the actual reading in a now state. That is mind-blowing when you think about it. You have no access to the past. You can't touch it or re-experience it. You have no control over the future, in as much as you can inspire outcomes through desire and focus now. You only have control over the choices that you make now. Choices of where you're going to observe, what you're going to observe, and what you're going to choose to do about what you're observing, which brings us back to self-love being a process. It's an act you choose in the now. So right now you have the choice to tell your story about the situation that is loving and that serves your highest good. Right now you have the choice to say, I can do it and intend to work towards it, or to say, I'll never be able to do it because I've never succeeded at it or anything in the past, right? It's the choice of where you put your attention. And so right now you have the choice to protect your boundaries and not engage with people who mean you ill will or allow you to be taken advantage of. Right now you have the choice to rest when your body says it's needed, to eat foods that are healthier for you, to speak up when you need to, and to say things to yourself that are loving and empowering. That is self-love. It's the acts and the words that you choose to execute right now. It's an act. And why should you do those things? Because you're divine. Every holy book, mythological text, and every ounce of quantum physics confirm that we are made of the very fiber of the divine. The Christian Bible says we are made in the image of God. An image is an expression, a representation of the thing that projects it. And everything in the universe is an image. It's an expression or representation of what the divine or the universal intelligence created. Whether you believe in God who sits external to us, a supreme source of energy, or nothing at all, one thing can be argued is that there is an order to all things in this universe, and we don't exist outside of it. We exist inside of it in tandem with it. And everything that exists is intentional. We have intention, and obviously anything more expansive than us has more than we do, which means that we are here based on intention. And that intention means we're worthy of being here and that we have purpose and the power to actualize that purpose. You are a divine observer, and you have the gift of choice and the power to consciously access your higher faculties and purpose or not. No matter what religion you choose, political affiliation, amount of melanin, deeper desires, or the choices you have already made, nothing can separate you from your divine identity because it is what made you. So on top of that, if we're a divine projection of a power source of order, our power source is our source of power. The source of the divine power gives us access to its power. In essence, since you were made of power, you don't just have power, you are power. This is just, when you really, really break down who and what you are, self-love is like common sense. Anything outside of it is a not understanding of these concepts, or it's a complete rejection of these concepts based on other foggy beliefs in your head. Self-love is the baseline. You understand? It's just what it is. It is the right thing because it is the thing. Okay, so I hope that made sense. You may have to listen to it a couple of times. Ask me questions in the comments if there's things about it that are that did not make sense. I can clarify that in the comments, and tell me your thoughts, because you all are tuning into this because you're all on the path and you know plenty of things that I don't know. Share with me your thoughts in the comments on those. But this is my belief about self-love. It's irrational not to love self. Anything less than that is not because we can't love ourselves or because we're unworthy. It's just a little bit of delusion. It's a misunderstanding. Okay. Again, if you're interested in my $7 a month mystery school, it's over on Substack. It's called the Inner Fort Mystery School. Click the link in the description box below. You can listen to one of those lectures for free. I have been decoding these ancient symbols, doing tarot readings and this whole thing for probably 13 years at this point. And I've been a tarot educator since COVID. I decided to move my platform, rebrand it, move it to Substack. I like Substack. So check me out over there. And if you have any other questions, again, hit me up in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye.